Hello, my name is Michele, and you're listening to Profit is a Choice. Today on the podcast, we're going to talk about the saying, "You are enough." Just to be clear, I think that this saying is a lie stated that way. And it's a lie that keeps us down, trapped, feeling less than, and actually encouraging the imposter syndrome to grow larger in our minds, which is one of the things we're all fighting against at some point. Listen in today as I tell you why I believe this saying, "You are enough," to be a lie. And then I balance it with some truth. Every day, empowered entrepreneurs are taking ownership of their company financial health and enjoying the rewards of reduced stress and more creativity. With my background as a financial software developer, owner of multiple businesses in the interior design industry, educator, and speaker, I coach women in the interior design industry to increase their profits, regain ownership of their bottom line, and to have fun again in their business. Welcome to Profit is a Choice. You are enough. You probably are seeing this everywhere around you. I know I have, on shirts and coffee mugs, memes, everywhere. You are enough. And while it might be comforting in the moment to believe this or to take it for truth, if we really think about it, really think, we know it doesn't resonate as truth at all. And when I think about the word enough, I like to take things and, go look up definitions. I'm weird that way. But when I think about the word enough, I think about not needing anything, like totally self-sufficient or sufficient, if you will, having all that I need to meet the demands or the expectations that are in front of me. And come on, seriously, no one person is enough. Nobody. The saying isn't even clear. You are enough. And my next question is, enough of what? See, here's how it goes. If I were enough, then it would mean that I don't need anybody or anything. And I do. I do have that need. And so do you. If we have learned anything in 2020, it's that we need each other and we need to work together. We were meant to be in community. And this is true in our business as well. There is no way that I can grow or scale a company if I believe that I am enough. Just thinking that would prevent me from reaching out to ask for help, because that would then be an indicator or a sign of weakness, and it would be admitting that I'm not enough. See how this idea is so crazy? The idea of enough all on my own, if I were to think that, keeps me trapped and limited and unable to execute the ideas and the tasks that are ahead of me. See, if I am enough, then whose fault is it that I can't get everything done all by myself? Who's responsible for the fact that maybe I don't understand a concept or that I can't answer the question on my own? We all know that there are things we don't know or things we can't do. And I could usually be okay with that unless I'm being told, but Michele, you're enough. Michele, you're enough. It's just not true. I'm not enough to save myself from anything, not even from a bad marketing decision. Somebody's got to help me. We know intellectually we're not enough all by ourselves to do all that we need to do. We need people. We need resources. We need help. When I first started my business, I was doing everything, maybe like some of you did when you started, or even some of you are doing right now. I created the product, I managed the sale, I installed the product, I did the billing, I did the bookkeeping, I did the accounting and the tax filing and the customer service and the marketing, like anything that needed to be done, I did it. I jokingly sometimes say I DIY'd my whole company at the beginning. And at first it was exciting and it was manageable. And truthfully, it was needed and it was necessary. I didn't have the funds at the very beginning to pay to have somebody do everything. And so I just kept doing it myself. And then after a year or so, my business grew. And guess what? It quickly wasn't manageable anymore. And I'm so thankful that the lie of Michele, you are enough wasn't prevalent 21 years ago when I started, because if it was, I most likely would have crumpled at the weight of that. Like, that is a weighty phrase, because I sure didn't feel like enough. I felt like my world was teetering on the edge. Kind of the running sarcastic joke at my house was that Mom is spinning way too many plates, and we just hope if one falls, it's going to be paper or plastic. Because I alone was not enough for the demands on my time and my energy. My husband came home and found me crying one day after work, and he asked me what was wrong. And I quickly unloaded on him that I just couldn't do it all. That, I was trying to run a family. I had small children. I was trying to run a business. I think at the time I was probably teaching Bible studies. I was doing all these things, right? Trying to have a life. I was telling him too much of my best work is coming in. I'm getting what I wanted, what I've been building for and trying to get. And now I'm miserable because I just can't do all the things. And then I did that cry that I'm a terrible business owner. I'm terrible with them as a mom. I'm not meeting all these needs. I'm not doing all these things. I'm never caught up. I'm never on top of things. I always felt like I was running to meet the demands, and I just couldn't run anymore. I was tired. Perhaps some of you have felt this way or been in a similar situation. I get it. I know many others feel this way too, because some of my clients have described similar situations. Some may call it being on the hamster wheel. One described it as going down a rushing river and being thrown around by the rapids, going underwater and coming up downstream. The problem is, the more she kept going underwater, it kept lasting longer, it felt like. She has nothing steady to grab onto, and the rush kept going. I told her to be careful because it sounded to me like there might be a waterfall in her future, and we needed to get her a life preserver. Recognizing that I was not enough to solve everything at one time created freedom for me. Freedom to recognize the fact that I didn't have to do it all, and I didn't have to do it all by myself. I could get help both in my personal life and my business life. Just Michele, you are not enough was actually the best phrase ever. If I only had my energy, my intellect, and my time to run everything, then the result would be a much smaller business with much smaller goals and a much smaller home with a much smaller, all the small things, just so that I could manage it. That's all the bandwidth I would have. And if that's all that I wanted or required, or that you want or you require, you may be good. But that wasn't okay for me. I think I've shared this with you on the podcast multiple times. I guess to my own detriment sometimes. My number one strength is maximizer. So I was trying to maximize and achieve and get things done. It's the way that I was made. It's the way that God created me. And so, I certainly have to keep it in check. But I would have been miserable if I had to hold every single thing back. I certainly held my business back when my kids were growing. I certainly held the reins so that I could keep a balance. But even that was hard, and I needed help with that. And so just holding back and doing the minimal wasn't okay. I personally am not interested in building an empire. That is not something that I've ever really wanted to do. But what I do want to do, I'm jokingly say I'm going to build a mini empire. I wanted to be able to manage a home and a business with assistance and with ease. I keep telling you all that word ease, ease, ease. That's important to me. And I wanted to be able to do things that required me to get help if I was going to do them and to do them well. And so I started hiring. Thankfully, I had run a successful business. I had money to invest back into the business. And I also recognized that by paying somebody to do what they love to do and were an expert at, it freed me up to do what I love to do. So I hired an accountant. We got a housekeeper, and I got a part-time helper. Later in my business, I hired an automation expert, marketing experts, an OBM, 2 virtual assistants, a coach, and many others I have on my team that allow me to scale my business, to get help, to do things that I could not do alone, that I'm not enough of to do, and to not have a crazy life, to be able to have my evenings with my family and my weekends off. And that time is so important to me. Creating a team of people to assist me where we're all doing what we do best has been integral to my success. I cannot even tell you how important it has been. And once you get a taste of asking for help and getting the right help at the right time, it can do wonders for your energy and your creativity.
Our clients also are not enough, right? And that's why they call us to do what they cannot do. If they believed that crazy phrase that they were enough, that's the ones that are out there saying they don't need us. That's fine. They're not going to call you. It's the clients that recognize that they cannot do what they want. There is something that they need. And so now, when we just put aside the crazy idea that all by ourselves we are enough, and we actually go after the truth, what is the truth? It's just this, as I stated earlier, we need help. We all do. We need jobs, we need money, we need food, we need the internet, we need technology, we need people, we need ideas, we need inspiration, we need friendship, we need clients, we need employees. We all have needs, and that's okay. We were made to need. We were made to not be self sufficient or enough in and of ourselves. Recognizing that we need help and assistance is vital to our growth. If you've ever raised a teenager, you know what I mean. They often think they know it all at the ripe old age of 15, and they might, in error, believe that their parents know nothing. And then they get older, and wow, all of a sudden, you as their parent just all of a sudden got wiser and wiser. Imagine how that happens. Growing and scaling a business is very similar to that, right? The more we know, the more we let go, the older and more mature we get in business, the more we recognize um, the abilities of others around us and how smart they are. Growing and scaling a business is about building a team of people and processes and technology that is working together towards the same goal. Each one of these are not enough in and of themselves, but together they can be enough to solve the problem or meet the ultimate goal. As you consider building your team, what does it look like? Who's on your team? What role do they play towards your company's success? In episode 58, Jennifer Smith discussed building a board of directors. Now, that is some next level team. Consider building a team to get the day to day operations of the business done, but then also build a team of people that can support your company strategically. That this is exactly why I have legal counsel, I have my own coach, and I have an accountant. They are all part of my board of directors, and I work with them to assist me in becoming all that I can be in my company. I could not do that by myself. And I am, you know, if I tell you to go do it, I'm going to go do it. Like, I'm not over here saying, let me be a coach to everybody if I'm not looking for somebody to help coach me, because we all need somebody to help us take the next steps. I also have a mastermind group that I am a part of. These women have been through the last couple of years with me. We each run a business in a completely different industry than the others. We meet monthly and we have an agenda. We share our goals, our wins, and what we want to be held accountable for. And between this group and my coach, I can't let myself off the hook, even if I wanted to. And I need that. And I'll tell you, so do you in some form. Um, Everybody that I have spoken with that talks to me about coaching says to me, I need somebody to help me think strategically outside of what I can think of for myself. And I need somebody to hold me accountable. Those are the two things I hear over and over: strategy and accountability. And that's what we all need, again, in some shape or form. In the last podcast episode, I mentioned the importance of defining your why and your values. I want you to use these as you build your team of people to work with. While your values may not be identical, they should not be at odds with each other. And that goes for every relationship that you're trying to build in business and in life. Like, I'm not going to go get a friend or create a new friendship with somebody who's they might be different than me in the way we do things, but value wise, they're going to be very similar to me. If I value truth and they value lying, I can promise you we're not going to be good friends. That is not going to work. And that sounds silly, but it's the same thing we need to think about in business. What are the values of that company? Do they own their work? Do they stand behind it? What do they think about the client? Right? When I'm looking to hire somebody in my company, I ask what their values are. What are you looking? What's important to you? And let's make sure that we are moving in the same direction. I want to encourage you to create synergistic relationships, meaning work with your team members to create something better than either of you could alone. This method of relationship building can be super helpful if you have a team meeting. I mean, allowing everybody to give input so the meetings aren't just one-way communication, which we know is not overly communicative, because you're just telling them everything. In fact, if you have a meeting that is more open in communication, where each person actively listens and actively responds, the meetings will be so much more than you can imagine, because everybody will be brought and bought into the mission and the vision of the company and have an active say in how those day-to-day operations are carried out. So I want to share with you again the truth. You are not enough, and it's okay. You were created to need and to be in community and to help others and to get help from others. So find your community at home and in business, and let that "you're enough, you should be able to do this all by yourself," let it go. I promise it's going to be the best lie that you've ever recognized once you see it. I support other business owners and community daily as part of my Designers Inner Circle. I love it. We are building strategy. We are building indicators to check our strategy. We are holding ourselves accountable for the work that we say we want to do to get us where we want to go. But most important, we're working together. Businesses are changed, and so are our lives. We are not doing business alone. I would love to have you join us. So if you're interested, reach out for a discovery call by going to scarletthreadconsulting.com. Let's work together to build a profitable company structure and team, because profit doesn't happen by accident.